Gordon Graham has been actively involved in law enforcement since 1973. He is a mid-manager in a major West Coast department. He has lectured at public safety training institutions around the country, including both the FBI Academy and the National Fire Academy. Mr. Graham has been awarded a BA in Business from San Francisco State College, a teaching credential from California State University, Long Beach, a master's degree in Safety and Systems Management from the University of Southern California, and a Juris Doctorate from Western State University. He is a noted attorney, popular lecturer, speaker, and author focusing on government tort liabilities and immunities. He has developed training systems and programs used by public safety agencies around the world. And now, Mr. Gordon Graham.
Thank you very much for coming. Tonight's topic is on sexual harassment, techniques for elimination. My goal is to tell you everything I know about this topic. My emphasis is on prevention rather than correction. You will hear some things that might not make sense to you up front, but I assure you everything will tie in by the end of this particular lecture, and you'll see exactly what's going on. Your job, emergency service operations. Very complex. I know there's a number of different job descriptions here and a number of different job descriptions in our viewing audience, from volunteers to full-time and part-time, and captains and chiefs and bottom line workers. There's all sorts of different job descriptions here, but I'll tell you what you know. Everybody's job in emergency services, everybody's job has something in common. It's a series of incidents. This is what you do. You do things. Chiefs do things. Captains do things. Paramedics do things. EMTs do things. Dispatchers do incidents. Like what? Dispatchers take in calls, process information, prioritize calls, dispatch calls out. Firefighters do suppression activities. They drive vehicles. Some do inspection activities. Paramedics provide medical services. Chiefs have incidents. They negotiate with other chiefs. They negotiate with city councils. They hire people. They fire people. Everybody's job at emergency services, if you break it down, it's a series of incidents. And you know what? The goal for everybody is to encounter the incidents and get them done right. Achieve what I call the goal of proper conduct. Whatever the incident is, regardless of who you are or what your job description is, encounter your assigned incidents and do them right. Here's the good news. The vast majority of incidents that the men and women of emergency services around our great country, the vast majority of incidents they encounter, they do right. Yes or no? Absolutely. Most things that we do right. That's the good news. The bad news is, occasionally incidents don't go right. And when things don't go right, there's a nasty word called consequences. Consequences. If you encounter an incident and you don't do it right, there are consequences. The one I talk about a lot as an attorney, if you encounter an incident and it doesn't go right, you can get sued. Liability is a consequence when a given incident doesn't go right. It's not the most important consequence. More important to me and to you, if you encounter an incident and it doesn't go right, you can get hurt. Personnel injury is a consequence when an incident doesn't go right. Organizational embarrassment is a consequence when an incident doesn't go right. Internal investigations are a consequence when incidents don't go right. And if things really go bad, there might even be a criminal filing. Your job's a series of incidents. We want them done right. Most things go right. When they don't, there's consequences. For example, everybody in emergency services at some time is asked to drive. You're asked to drive. Guess what? Most people encounter this incident and they do it right. They drive correctly. If you don't drive right and you get yourself involved in an accident, think about consequences. The second the person you hit finds out it's a fire vehicle, are they hurt? Oh, call me an ambulance. All right, you're an ambulance. You know there's going to be a lawsuit. Hey, just a second. You're driving along in your SS Crown Victoria, Starship of the Fleet, and you rear end somebody at 14.5 miles an hour, and that airbag deploys. Are you going to get hurt? Same incident, you're getting sued, and you're hurt also. Third consequence, every time we wreck an emergency services vehicle, Are we embarrassed? Consequence 4, there's an internal investigation. Consequence 5, if you're at fault, you might even get filed on. Whoa, here's another incident. Paramedics are asked to go out and treat people medically. And guess what? Most paramedics do it right. If they don't, there are consequences. Lawsuits, you might get hurt. Organizational embarrassment, internal investigations. If you really foul it up, there might even be a criminal filing. Your job's a series of incidents. We want them done right. When they don't go right, there's consequences. Consequences, ladies and gentlemen, are the domain of a super special group of people in our society called lawyers. This is what lawyers do. Lawyers, generally speaking, are consequence-driven people. They get involved in things after they happen. Consequences. They're in the business of post-incident correction. Now, I've been practicing law for 15 years. I got a small law office in Hollywood with a secretary, telephone, the whole thing. My phone rings on a regular basis. Gordon Graham. Hey, Mr. Graham, how's it going? Pretty good, what's up? Well, you're our lawyer, and we just called to tell you everything is wonderful. Life is superlative. Holy moly, we never dreamed it could get this good, and we wanted to call you, our lawyer, and let you know. Do you think I've ever gotten that phone call? If you do, you're on drugs. Lawyers never get that call. Here's the call I get every day, including today. Gordon Graham. Oh, it didn't go right. We're getting sued. We're in big trouble. What do I do? What do I do? And I give them legal advice, particularly to my cop buddies. Hey, you need to hide this, shield this, better destroy this. Hey, I sincerely suggest you kill the witness on this one. You know what I mean? You know what? That was a joke, by the way. In case the FBI gets a hold of this tape. It was a joke, the ref from a joke. Big hint, you can be the best lawyer in the world. You can be the best lawyer in the world, and you might have major victories in civil court, and major victories in workers' comp court, and major victories in the media, and even a major victory in the criminal court. Think about this for a second, folks. What can the best lawyer in the world do to undo the incident that's causing all the grief? Nothing. Nothing. Lawyers fix things. Lawyers fix things that are involved in post-incident correction. Now, before I went to law school, I spent 4 years in graduate school, and I picked up a degree in an area called risk management. Risk managers could give a hoot about post-incident correction. Risk managers focus on pre-incident prevention. Pre-incident prevention, pre-incident prevention. And by the way, this is the thrust of my entire talk today. Prevention is better than correction in any line of work. Prevention is better than correction. Walk up to a doctor. Hey, doctor, would you rather do cancer surgery or prevent cancer? Oh, prevention, prevention. Walk up to a firefighter. Hey, would you rather prevent a fire or fight a fire? Well, yeah, prevention. Yeah, my boss is here. It's prevention, you know. Walk up to a state highway patrol officer. Hey, would you rather investigate an accident or prevent an accident? Well, Lieutenant, how much overtime's involved in investigating it? None. Oh, no overtime. Prevention, that's where it's at. Prevention is the domain of risk managers. And there are certain risk management rules that you need to know. Risk management rule number 1, things that go wrong in life are highly predictable. This is risk management rule number 1. Things that go wrong are predictable. And if you don't believe that, folks, you pick up the newspaper any day and read the top story. Read the top story. Ba 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 ba. What was it this morning? Our top story, suicide bomber in the Middle East. Duh. Highly predictable. I talked to my wife today. It's 90 degrees in Los Angeles today. 90. Throw in some Santa Ana winds. What's the top story going to be in Malibu tomorrow? Oh, brush fires. Wait a minute. Sudden weather change. Half an inch of rain. What's the top story in Malibu tomorrow? Oh, mudslides. And then there'll be an editorial. Oh, these poor people, they need government assistance. No, they don't. They need luggage. Move. Move. What, are you stupid or what? Things that go wrong in life are highly predictable. Risk management rule number 2, if it's predictable, it's preventable. Things that go wrong are predictable. If they're predictable, they're preventable. Hazardous material incidents, right up many of your alleys. Hazardous material incidents are predictable. If they're predictable, they're preventable. There's great books out there on hazmat. 3 root causational factors: employee sabotage, employees under the influence of alcohol, drugs, and fatigue, or something broke. What broke? A pipeline or a container? Where did it break? They always break at the same place: a valve, a joint, a bend, or a seam. I'll tell you what, if I'm a risk manager for a hazmat operation, there's 3 things I'm going to do up front. Hire me some good employees, have a program to monitor alcohol, drugs, and fatigue, and have an inspection program focusing on pipelines and containers, and super focusing on valves, joints, bends, and seams. And the hazmat companies that do that up front don't have the problems the ones that don't do. Airplane wrecks are highly predictable. They're highly predictable. The former director of the FAA has got a book out on how airplanes crash. Lousy pilots, lousy airplanes, and lousy weather. If I'm a risk manager for an airline, there's 3 things I'm going to do up front. Hire me some good pilots, keep them properly trained, buy me some good airplanes, keep them properly maintained, and watch the weather. And the airlines that do that up front don't have the problems the ones that don't do. You're saying, well, hey, wait a minute. You're going on now 20 minutes and you ain't said nothing about the topic today. Well, and I won't for a couple more minutes. A little bit more, folks. I spend a lot of time studying government. And the question I ask is, why do things go wrong in government operations? Emergency service operations, police, fire, paramedics. Most things go right. There's a reason why. Occasionally things don't go right. And when things don't go right, when our goal of proper conduct is not achieved, there are consequences. And I ask this question: why did it go bad? And I use my risk management training, and I've come up with something I call the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of a successful emergency service operation. There are 5 things that we need to fix up front if we want incidents to have a higher probability of going right and obviating the nasty consequences downstream. People, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. The 5 pillars of success. If you have these up front, things have a higher probability of going right, and when things go right, you avoid the consequences. If you avoid one of these, or if you don't take it serious, or you leave it out, or you don't pay any attention to it up front, that's when things start going bad. People, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. Pillar 1. You want to run a good emergency service operation? First of all, you got to have good people. Good people. Well, what do you mean by that? Now, this is really deep. You need people who are ready, willing, and currently able to encounter their assigned incidents and do them right. And you know what? I don't have a quarrel with the quality of our people. So where does your beef come? Well, pillar 2 for some organizations is a little weak. Policy. You can have the best people in the world. If you don't have direction for them, policy, and you can call it procedures or protocols or SOs or GOs, policy to show your good people how to encounter their incident and do it right. Second pillar of success. Pillar 3, training, to make sure your good people know the good policies pre-incident so that when they encounter an incident, it has a higher probability of going right. Pillar 4, supervisors, making sure good people know the good policies and, in fact, are following the good policies so that when they encounter an incident, there's a higher probability it'll go right. And the 5th pillar of success, organizational discipline, so that when there's a deviation from established organizational policy, it gets addressed so that future incidents have a higher probability of going right. People, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. Take one of these away or lessen the importance of one of these, and bad things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. Now we're going to get topic specific. Sexual harassment. One of the incidents that we ask everybody in emergency services to do is to treat coworkers, co-volunteers, fellow employees, subordinates, the public. We ask people to treat others with dignity and respect. That is an incident. It's an incident. Treat people right. And you know what? The vast majority of the people in emergency services treat people with dignity and respect. Some people don't. And when we don't, when that goal of proper conduct is not achieved, there are consequences. Consequences. And I'll talk about the consequences later on. But the consequences are severe, and the consequences are the domain of lawyers. And once you're in the area of consequences, there's nothing you can do. Go back to the risk management approach, folks. The 5 pillars. The 5 pillars, these risk management rules work in this area of sexual harassment. And if you want to eliminate this issue, you need to take these 5 pillars seriously. Pillar 1, you need good people. And guess what? You've got them. That is not the issue. Pillar 2, you need a good policy in this regard, folks. A policy that is agency-specific, properly derived, and regularly reviewed by your competent counsel to make sure it's up to date. This is a weakness in many emergency service organizations. The policy regarding harassment is generally, in my opinion, not right. Well, what do you mean? For many organizations, emergency service organizations, they adopt their city policy. They adopt the county policy. They adopt the district policy. But guess what? Your job is different than any other job in the city or county or whatever political subdivision you're in. And as such, you need a policy that is agency specific. Now, if you've purchased this tape, coming along with the tape is a sample policy, which you need to check with your competent legal counsel to make sure it works for you. It may not, but it's something to start with, and it's a compilation of some of the best policies I've seen in this particular area. Good people, getting a good policy. Pillar 3, training. You can have the best people in the world. You can have the best policy in the world. Let me ask you this question. How do you know what your people know about this policy? There's only 2 things we learn, or 2 ways we learn: experience and training. Whoa. You need to make sure that your people are regularly trained in the area of harassment and the elimination thereof. Having a speaker come in once, watching a videotape once is not the answer. This is a high-risk area, and like any other high-risk area, it needs regular, ongoing training, pre-incident verification of level of knowledge, making sure people know the rules up front. It is up to every supervisor, in my opinion, to regularly cover this policy. 5 minutes a quarter is what I ask. Sit people down and make sure they know the rules. Our big problems in emergency services come with Pillar 4, supervision. Supervision. No disrespect intended, folks, but a lot of people who call themselves supervisors or managers are really not familiar with what the principles of supervision and management are. The primary mission of a supervisor is enforcement of organizational policy. Enforcement of organizational policy. And I don't care if it's the seatbelt policy, the turnout gear policy, the breathing apparatus policy, the EMT policies and procedures. Supervisors have got to enforce organizational policy. And when there's a deviation from policy, it needs to be addressed with prompt, fair, and impartial discipline. And again, I see a major breakdown here. A major breakdown. For a lot of organizations and for a lot of supervisors and managers, discipline is solely and directly dependent on consequence. No! No! Discipline should never be solely or directly dependent on consequence. Discipline, rather, needs to be dependent on a deviation from established organizational policy, notwithstanding the consequences. In fact, even if the incident ends up going okay, and there's no consequences, if there's a deviation from policy, it needs to be addressed. The classic example in this area is the supervisor or manager, the person in charge, who is walking along and overhears a sex joke, a bad sex joke. There are some supervisors who will just keep on walking and pretend they didn't hear it. There are other supervisors who will take it a step further. They'll take a look at who said it. Oh, that's 5 guys telling a woman joke. It's 5 guys telling a sex joke. Well, that's okay. I'll tell you what, if there was a woman in there, then I would have had some problems. But there's no women around, 10-4, no problems, no harm, no foul. I don't have to do anything about it. Wrong-o, dong-o. You know what that supervisor's just done? And you need to remember this, folks. The supervisor who doesn't take action has ratified inappropriate behavior. Ratification of inappropriate behavior encourages future inappropriate behavior, and if you have sufficient future inappropriate behaviors, sooner or later it's going to end up in consequences, and then everybody sits around after the fact and says, this has been going on for years and nobody did anything about it. People, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. Let's get specific with today's topic. Sexual harassment is perhaps the hottest topic in America today. You pick up the newspaper. Some of our leaders in government are in trouble for sexual harassment. Leaders in the armed services are in trouble for harassment. Educational leaders, police departments, fire departments, paramedic organizations, private sector, public sector, harassment is a hot topic. It's a hot topic. In addition to the cost of litigation, possible damage awards or settlements, harassment takes a high toll on the morale of a workplace. When allegations are made, both the accused and accuser face monumental challenges which adversely impact the effectiveness and productivity of the workplace. My mission today is to show you how to eliminate this issue from the workplace, folks, and it's simple. The principles of risk management: people, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. And remember the rules. Things that go wrong are highly predictable. If it's predictable, it's preventable. And sexual harassment is not an exception to this rule. Nature and scope of the issue. Nature and scope. Harassment. The big word harassment. It's not limited to this time, place, or job. It is not limited to this time, place, or job. Forget sex for a second. Religious harassment. How long has that been around? Oh, probably 20, 25 years anyhow. No. Religious harassment's been around from day one. Racial harassment's around from day one. Color harassment's been around. And sexual harassment's been around. It is not limited to your particular area of our country. It is not limited to emergency service operations. Harassment is a big deal. Item number 2, past history in the United States. The first law in this area of harassment discrimination came in 1964. Kennedy got elected in 1960. Kennedy put together a group of people and they started writing something called the Federal Civil Rights Act. And the Federal Civil Rights Act was the first piece of litigation which specifically addressed harassment and discrimination. And they had a tough time defining harassment, a very tough time making the definition. They had no problem at all identifying the types of harassment present in the workplace. And there's 3 principal types that they identified in the 60s, and here we are 30-some-odd years later, it's the same 3 types. Quid pro quo, hostile environment, and retaliation. These were the 3 principal areas of harassment that were identified in the 60s, and it's the same 3 today, folks. Number 1, quid pro quo. It's a Latin expression, this for that. In our colloquial English, you do this for me and I'll do that for you. By the way, there's nothing wrong with quid pro quo. There's nothing wrong with quid pro quo. This for that. Many of you who have jobs, you show up and work and they pay you. Is that quid pro quo? That's quid pro quo. There's nothing wrong with quid pro quo until sex becomes part of the equation. You do this for me sexually and I'll do this for you. Now, there's a lot of people listening to this right now, and I know this for a fact because I've been teaching this class for better than 10 years, and my friends go to this class and they talk to me after, Gordy, this quid pro quo, I know you got to say certain words, but it really doesn't go on, does it? And I don't blame my friends for saying that, because reasonable people would never use their position of authority to force sex on somebody who was working with them or for them. They wouldn't do it. What we need to remember is there are a lot of less than reasonable people floating around in our society. Quid pro quo, ladies and gentlemen, is a way of life. You do this for me sexually, and I will do this for you. It goes on. It is illegal. It is immoral. It is a big deal. Anyone who attempts to force sex on someone because of their position of authority, that is morally wrong and it is legally wrong, and if we are going to be successful as an organization, this has to be eliminated from every organization. Number 3 in your notes is retaliation. where someone files a claim, someone testifies against an organization, somebody says something about you and the way you do business if you're a manager with respect to the way you handle harassment in the workplace, and after the fact, somebody attempts to retaliate. Retaliation is illegal. If I had to add these two together, quid pro quo and retaliation, I'd say less than 25% of the claims come in those two areas. The lion's share of issues for emergency service organizations come in number two, the hostile environment. The hostile environment. Well, what is it? There are all sorts of legal definitions, folks, about what types of behaviors create a hostile environment. If you read the case law, you will consistently see severe, pervasive, ongoing, serious. Big hint, folks. What's a hostile environment? Well, I'm a simple person, so I have a simple answer for it. Your job is a series of incidents. Incidents we want done right, achieving the goal of proper conduct. A hostile environment is a behavior or a series of behaviors in the workplace which make it difficult or impossible for a given employee to encounter their assigned incidents and do them right. Hostile environment represents better than 3/4 of the claims I see in public sector, folks. Hostile environment is a big deal. And by the way, the consequences when a hostile environment is proven are huge. Take a look. Equal Employment Opportunities Commission is a consequence. Your state labor department is a consequence. Civil lawsuits are a consequence. Criminal investigations are a consequence. Internal investigations are a consequence. Those are the consequences. Consequences are the domain of who? Lawyers. Once you're involved in consequences, you can't get away. You're in Lawyerville, you can't get out. Risk management. What can we do today to eliminate the hostile environment? Well, I go back to those 5 pillars, folks. People, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. Getting and keeping good people, making sure you got a sound organizational policy. Pillar 3, that's regularly covered. Pillar 4, supervisors who are enforcing it. And Pillar 5, when there's a deviation, prompt, fair, and impartial discipline. You say, well, that's awful complex. Don't you have something simpler? Yep. I put together a risk management tool that I use to eliminate hostile environment. CATSINRO. CATSINRO. You go to my class on sexual harassment, you leave with CATSINRO. Is it a comment? Is it an action? Is it a thing? Is it sexual in nature? Would a reasonable person find it offensive? And what I'm begging you to do, folks, is to practice risk management. Analyze your behavior. Analyze the behavior of your men and women, if you're in a supervisory or management capacity. Analyze behavior up front and ask this question. Is it a comment? Is it an action? Is it a thing? Is it sexual in nature? Would a reasonable person find it offensive? And if your answer is yes or I don't know, remove it from the workplace pre-incident, and you have just done away with the consequences, folks. It is pre-incident management of risk. The comments, the actions, and the things. Now, before I get into this really heavy in terms of specifics, I got to tell you about defenses. Defenses. I have been involved in enough of these to predict what the defense is going to be downstream when someone gets in trouble for a violation of the standards created by the laws regarding hostile environment. Here is the number one defense I see. Number one defense. I didn't mean anything by it. It was a joke. I was just kidding. I didn't intend to offend anybody, and if they took it that way, I'm sorry. That is the number one defense. Let me tell you how far it gets in court. It doesn't move, folks. It is DOA, dead on arrival. It is not your intent. It is the impact that it has on any given employee or group of employees. That is what the courts look at, except for damages. except for damages. If you do it on purpose, they're going to multiply the damages a couple times. But it is not your intent. It is the impact on the involved employee that becomes the big issue. The number 2 defense. Well, at the time I said it, at the time I did it, at the time I brought it to work, I thought it was welcome. Welcome. Where do they get that idea? Well, this is a flaw. The law says unwelcome behavior is illegal. Unwelcome behavior is illegal. Now, who wrote the law? Who wrote the law? Let me give you some job descriptions. Tell me when to stop. Professional baseball players, butchers, bakers, race car drivers, astronauts, fighter pilots, street cops, paramedics, firefighters, or lawyers. Lawyers wrote the law. Duh! Now, no disrespect intended, because I know there's lawyers out in the viewing audience. Here goes my malpractice premiums right now, okay? Do lawyers ever behave like they're looking out for themselves? Say it's not true. A lawyer looking out for their own self-interest? Say it's not true. Lawyers wrote this law in 1964, unwelcome is illegal. When they wrote it, they had to be laughing. They had to be laughing hard. Hey, let's create the Lawyers Full Employment Act of 1964. You know why? This statement is rather ambiguous. Read it carefully, like so many of our people do. All right, I don't want any problems. What does the law say? What does our policy say? Unwelcome is illegal. Now, I don't want to do anything wrong. Think it out. What does that really mean? Well, unwelcome is illegal. You take your numerator, your denominator, 10-4, that means welcome is legal. This is the number 2 defense I see, folks. At the time I did it, I thought it was welcome. If it's welcome, it's legal. That is null and void. Null and void. Welcome is legal does not work. It doesn't work. It doesn't. You want proof? I am having a sexually charged conversation with this employee right here. Pat. Man, woman, it makes no difference. Pat and I are talking heavy-duty sex. You can listen in if you like. This is heavy-duty. For you viewing this at home, you might want to get your kids away from the screen at this point. This is heavy-duty sex talk. Sex, 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 sex. Heavy-duty sex, sex. Pat likes it, and I like it. It's welcome. It's welcome, it's legal. If it's legal, I ain't got a problem. Bump in the biz bag. It don't work that way. My perception that Pat likes it, can I be dead wrong? Ooh. How do you really know what Pat's thinking? He or she, how do you know what they're thinking? Well, you don't know. Okay, scenario 2. I'm a risk manager, I'll verify. Listen in. Sex, 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 sex. By the way, you like this, don't you, Pat? 10-4, Gordy. I love it. Whoa! I know it's welcome now for sure. I even verified it. Wait a minute. Can welcome behavior today turn into unwelcome behavior a year from now? Ooh. How do you know if somebody's going to change their minds? You don't know. Scenario 3. Sex, 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 sex. Pat likes it. I like it. Third party overhears it. They don't like it. Can it be harassment to the third party? Oh, how do you know the sensitivities of the third parties? You don't know. Scenario 4. Sex, 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 sex. Pat likes it. I like it. Third party likes it. Everybody likes it. I leave the room. Third party says the exact same thing that I just said. Can it be harassment between them? Whoa. How do you know the sensitivities of third parties not involve the original incident, later involve subsequent incidents? You don't know. Don't know, don't know, don't know, don't know drives risk managers nuts. It drives risk managers nuts. So how does that space shuttle take off? Well, it's a 4-step process. If system A works and B works and C works and D works, we'll have a successful launch. Well, is A going to work today? Yeah, we're pretty sure. What does pretty sure mean? You don't know. They tried pretty sure 11 years ago. What was that called? Challenger. Pretty sure doesn't cut it. Don't know doesn't cut it. You're saying, well, what cuts it then? The CATSINRO analysis. Is it a comment, action, or thing? Is it sexual in nature? Would a reasonable person find it offensive? The key here, would a reasonable person find it offensive? Who's the reasonable person? Ain't you. Ain't me. Ain't the chief. Who's the reasonable person? The reasonable person is the trier of fact downstream. And many of these end up going to jury. Tell me this. Who's going to be on the jury 4 years from now? Give me their names. Give me their names. Well, we don't know. Oh, you don't know. Are there going to be different races on that jury? Are there going to be different sexes on that jury? Well, yeah, I guess so. Tell me the baggage they're bringing with them to court. Do jurors bring baggage to court? Yes or no? Uh-huh. Whoa. And if you don't believe that, watch TV. Jurors bring baggage to court. What kind of baggage? Good baggage? Bad baggage? Negative baggage? Positive baggage? How do you know what that group of people is going to find offensive downstream? You can't tell me who they are. You can't tell me what their sensitivities are. You can't tell me anything about them. You don't even know their names. What would they find offensive? Well, we don't know. Let me give you a hint, folks. Since you don't know what they would find offensive, the only tool that works is an approach called zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. It all has to be taken out of the workplace, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm serious on this. Sound professional work environment is what we want. We want to maximize our external delivery of services. You cannot maximize that if there are problems internally. And if you truly want a sound professional work environment, there's only one thing that works, folks. It's called zero tolerance. The sexual comments, the sexual actions, the sexual things have got to be taken out of the workplace. Not 98%, not 99%, 100%. Let's start with comments. The sex language, sex jokes, sex slurs, gender jokes, gender slurs, sexual fantasy stories, sexual rumors, sexual innuendo, sex. These comments need to be removed from the workplace. They need to be taken out. Now, this is tough. And for those of you who are supervisors and managers, you got to run a tight ship here, folks, because we live in a sexually charged society. Yes or no? There's sex all over the place. You turn on TV, you turn on the radio, you turn on anything. You open up newspapers or magazines, sex. And what I'm telling you is that this does not have a place in a sound professional work environment. You've got to take it out, folks. Well, can we do that? Can we do that? Don't we have a First Amendment here? Can't people say what they want? You bet. People can say what they want. Free speech. Free speech. You have free speech. Say what you want. You also have the freedom of religion. You also have the freedom of assembly. All of these are guaranteed by the First Amendment. And you know what? Can an emergency service organization, can they interfere with an employee's First Amendment rights? Yep. And they do it all the time. Legally. What? Say it's not true. It's true. You're working Saturday or Sunday and it's your day of worship and you're on duty. Can they stop you from going to church? Well, come to think of it, I guess they could. No kidding. Hey, you're listening to this videotape right now. It's a nice day outside. So why don't you go assemble out there instead of in here? Well, they told me to be here and I'm on duty. They're interfering with my First Amendment right to freedom of assembly. And guess what? They can do it. And they can interfere with your First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Because when your First Amendment right to say what you want interferes with somebody else's Title VII right to get or keep a job or be a volunteer, let me give you a big hint, folks. The First Amendment's going to lose. Watch the comments. The big one, folks, is the sex stories, the sex jokes, the sex innuendo, the sex rumor. It's where every conversation somehow gets steered towards sex. A TV show on, and people start making sexual comments. A magazine gets passed around, and people start talking sex. Take sex out of the workplace. Hint 2, actions. Actions. The clear, classic is the sexual assaults and the sexual batteries. Fortunately, those numbers are small. But the actions are much less than assault and battery and rape. It's the touching, grabbing people, playing games and grabbing people and pushing people and blocking and leering and staring and doing other things that are inappropriate. Well, like what? Well, here's a good test. If your significant other was there, if the newspaper was there, if Dan Rather and the 60 Minutes film crew was there, if your mayor was there who hated your guts, would you do that behavior? Well, I don't know, I ain't stupid. Don't behave inappropriately in the workplace. Touching, leering, staring, glaring. The big ones in this area, folks, are touching. You know, unwelcome shoulder massages, unwelcome arms around people. Hugging can be a big problem, folks. Don't be going around hugging everybody. Now, this is a non-issue for me. I hate touching people. Everybody's got bugs, stay away. I don't need that transference of bugs. I'm married into a whole family of huggers. They are always hugging, oh my God, they're touching each other all the time. You know what else they do? Is they take the tortilla chips and they dip them, they bite them, and they re-dip them. It's no wonder they're always sick. It's predictable, it's preventable. I get my own little bowl of sauce, I go sit in the corner. Stay away. Don't be touching people. Don't be touching people. And also, don't be stupid. 98% of the people who are viewing this tape, 98% are solid people. Tell me the rules and I'll stay away from problems. There is some idiot out there right now, and I'm talking to you, okay? Somebody is out there, all right, you heard it right there. You heard it right there. He said, we can't touch people. Did you hear that? You hear that? We can't touch people. I had an idiot last month in a class, and it happened to be a group of cops. If it was firefighters or paramedics, I tell you that. This was cops. Oh, excuse me. Hand goes up. Oh, this guy looks like a box of rocks. You know, can I help you with something? Let me give you a hypothetical. My partner was just shot, and they're in the line of fire. Can I pull them out of the line of fire? Of course you can. Well, you said just now that we can't touch people. Excuse me, we're your parents' cousins. You know, of course, if there's a sound business necessity, you can touch people. But otherwise, touching people, folks, can be a problem. Other types of actions, and I'll tell you something that I find very shocking because it still goes on. Initiation rituals in organizations. Don't do it. Don't do it. Major investigations and major problems with inappropriate initiation rituals to get into an organization. Well, like what? Give me some specifics. You know exactly what I'm talking about, folks. Don't be playing any games where you're requiring these abnormal, and yes, they are abnormal, initiation rituals. You know, it's very important to create a sound professional work environment. Number 3, things. Sex toys, sex paraphernalia, sex pictures. These have no place in a sound professional work environment. What's your mission? Everybody. Zero tolerance. Take it all out of the workplace. This paragraph sort of sums up my feelings in this area. Remember, what you may consider welcome today may be unwelcome tomorrow. Keeping it out of the workplace is the best course of action to eliminate potential problems. Zero tolerance should be our goal, as anything less will allow inappropriate behaviors into the workplace. And this next line is oh so important. Also, if someone says something or does something that you don't like, let them know that you find it inappropriate. Let them know. And this is not required by the law. It is not required by most organizational policies, but let me give you a hint. Everybody has got a button. Everybody has got a button. If somebody is saying things or doing things or behaving in a way that you find bothersome, and if you don't tell them about it, it's only going to continue and it'll get worse and worse. Let them know. And I'm not asking you to embarrass that person in front of everybody. You know, you've been doing this for 15 years and it drives me nuts. No, no, no. I ask you to approach that person as a mature adult and say, you know something, Pat? I love working with you, but I got to tell you something. Your comments about sex, your comments about race, your comments about religion, your comments about mental retardation, your comments about whatever, I don't like it, and I'd appreciate it if you knock it off. And you know what? When you approach a reasonable person in a reasonable manner, most people will do what? They will cease the inappropriate behavior. They will cease the inappropriate behavior if it continues after you ask them not to do it. What do you know for sure now? Are they doing it deliberately and on purpose? You bet. And there are other avenues you can take as per your organizational policy. Let them know up front that you find the behavior inappropriate. If you don't, it will only continue, and so will the resultant problems that come from that behavior. While this is not required, it is an excellent technique which has been successful in stopping inappropriate behaviors. Remedies. Remedies is a fancy legal word for consequences. Consequences. Remedies. There are 5 principal remedies in the area of sex harassment. Remedy number 1, EEOC. Number 2, your state labor department. Number 3, the criminal investigation. Number 4, civil investigations, civil lawsuits. And number 5, the internal investigation. Those are the consequences. You treat people in the workplace with less than dignity and respect, and you're setting yourself up for consequences, folks. Consequences are the domain of lawyers. Once you're involved in consequences, you can't get out. The smart move is to play on the other side of the incident, analyze behavior up front. You take a look at these consequences. If they don't scare you, they should. EEOC. Equal Employment Opportunities Commission. You see one word there next to EEOC. Federal. Federal. EEOC is a federal operation. I want you to know you do not want to be involved with the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission as a defendant. You don't want to be anywhere around there. Why? Because they make a big deal about it. A big deal. And guess what? When they run out of money, what do? They print some more. It's the federal government. They have unlimited resources and unlimited investigative powers, folks. How do you avoid them? Easy. Go pre-incident. If you're a manager or a supervisor, people, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. For everybody, analyze your behavior and the behavior of your men and women up front, and you won't have a problem with the EEOC. Well, Gordon, it's just too many rules. I can't remember all that. Then remember this. And you heard it before. When you were 4 or 5, your mom or dad pulled you aside and gave you some of the basic rules of life. Treat people the way you'd like to be treated. If you don't have something good to say, don't say anything. Keep your hands to yourself, and you get more flies with sugar than you get with vinegar. Now, I heard that. I heard that when I was 4 years old. Treat people the way you'd like to be treated. If you ain't got something good to say, don't say anything. Keep your hands to yourself, and you get more flies with sugar than you get with vinegar. I mentioned to you earlier, I've been teaching this class for 10 years plus. My wife calls me. Well, what are you teaching today? Well, sexual harassment. Well, what do you say? Well, in a nutshell, sweetheart. Well, of course, it's a long-distance call. Well, I tell them, treat people the way you like to be treated. If you ain't got something good to say, don't say anything. Keep your hands to yourself, and you get more flies with sugar than you get with vinegar. And she'd say, and they pay you for that. I said, well, no, sweetheart, I'm a lawyer. I build it into an 8-hour block, you know. 8 billable hours. But anyhow, it's simple stuff, folks. You want to avoid the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission, analyze your behavior up front, run a tight ship up front, and you won't have a problem. The same is true with your State Department of Labor, who also has huge, huge powers. Many people don't even know they exist. Let me give you a hint. They are there, they have investigative authority and responsibility, and they can cause you a lot of grief. How do you avoid them? Simple. Act up front correctly. Treat people right, you won't have a problem. CATSINRO, People, Policy, Training, Supervision, and Discipline, and you won't hear from the State Labor Department. Scenario number 3, or consequence number 3. Consequence number 3, criminal investigations. Some forms of harassment graduate to crimes. What? Say it's not true. Rape is a crime. Sexual assault, sexual battery is a crime. Stalking is a crime. Threatening phone calls are a crime. Grabbing people might be a crime. You want to avoid prosecution? It is easy. Analyze your behavior up front and you will never have a problem in this regard. The one that I want to really use to scare anybody who doesn't think this is a big deal is consequence number 4, civil. You can be sued. You can be sued personally for sexual harassment. And you can be ordered by a court to pay part or all of a settlement to the person that you harass. It is a big deal. You can get sued for it. And there's so many people who don't understand the way lawsuits work. Well, if I'm working and I'm course and scope, I'm on duty, I'm covered. I'm covered. I don't know who spreads these rumors. Wrong. Wrong. You leave this training scenario here in an hour, training session in an hour. You get back in your city vehicle, your county vehicle, your fire truck, your fire car, your paramedic van. You drive away from here and you're talking about the class. You're talking about the class. Well, what'd you think? Oh, it was okay. I wonder what happened to that guy's nose, though. You know? And you're talking, and you get excited while you're driving, and all of a sudden you look up, and somebody came to a dead stop in front of you. Boom! You tap them. You tap them. The second they find out it's a fire vehicle, are we going to hear from a lawyer? Yep. They'll go to a chiropractor. They'll ring up $40,000 worth of chiropractic phone bills, and they'll have all these issues, and we end up getting sued. Do you think your employer is going to cover you for that minor traffic accident on duty? Absolutely. Your course and scope of employment, it's a simple accident. They might not want to cover you, but big hint, folks, they're going to cover you. Take a fire truck off duty. Go into the community, buy some cocaine, participate in a drive-by shooting, kill a rival gang member. Do a drive-by in a fire truck. That'd be a first, okay? You say, well, how about in a police car? Oh, we've already done that. You know, we're light years ahead of you guys. But anyhow, pop, 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 pop. You cap a couple rounds, and in your getaway in your fire truck, you rear-end somebody. Do you think that your department's going to cover you for that? Well, they're pretty generous, but I don't think they go that far. You're out by yourself, folks. You're out by yourself. It's called outside course and scope of employment. You don't want to be out there ever, folks. What's the easiest way to go outside course and scope of employment? Knowingly violating organizational policy, intentional misconduct can put you outside course and scope of employment in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Outside course and scope is not a nice place to be. You don't want to be there. Well, how do I stay inside? Give me the rule. People, policy, training, supervision, and discipline. If you're a manager or supervisor, take your role seriously. CATSINRO analysis for everybody. Analyze your behavior up front, and you will be course and scope of employment. And the last one, internal investigations. Most organizational policies, if you read the penalty for participating in harassing or discriminatory behavior, it's up to and including dismissal. You can be terminated. You can be told not to come back to the job for participation in inappropriate behavior. So what's the bottom line, folks? It is clear as day. Don't wait for things to go bad. Prevention is better than correction. I am begging you, analyze CATSINRO up front, and you won't have the post-incident problems. You won't have the problems. There's always the issue about who pays the damages. And again, the general rule is counties, cities, and districts can be held liable, but you need to remember this also, folks. You start participating in inappropriate behavior, you can set yourself up for personal liability. Personal liability, and I am seeing a lot of cases where people are outside course and scope of employment, they do something incorrect, the name calling, the inappropriate touching, the inappropriate threats, the inappropriate language, the inappropriate things in the workplace, and you can get nailed personally, and it's a big deal, folks. Your upfront behavior is so crucial. Just a thought for you as a supervisor. Earlier I touched on what your mission was as a supervisor. The primary mission of a supervisor is enforcement of organizational policy. And when I say you need to do a CATSINRO analysis on the behavior of your women and men up front, I mean regularly. This is an everyday issue, folks. You need to be looking for problems. And if you see a problem, you need to address it up front. Here's another thought for you, supervisors and managers who might be here or in the viewing audience. If someone comes to you with a problem, excuse me, supervisor, excuse me, manager, but I've got an issue regarding harassment that I'd like to discuss with you. Think about this for a second. Does it take guts for a person to come forward and even say that? You bet it does, folks. And let me give you a big hint. If you kiss them off, or you let them think that you don't think this is a big deal, you know, you need to toughen up a little bit. You know, boys will be boys, and maybe you're in the wrong line of work. You know what you've just told that person? Don't give us the opportunity to handle this internally. Go outside, get a megabuck lawyer, and slam dunk us, please. I'm begging you. Supervisors and managers, please, if someone comes forward, take it seriously, and you have different policies and different procedures on how to investigate and ascertain the facts. Some of them are good, some of them are worthless, but I am asking you, make sure you have a protocol, a procedure for investigation, find out what happened, and if there's a deviation from established organizational policy, it needs to be addressed with prompt, fair, and impartial discipline with the goal of never having that incident occur again. That is your mission as a supervisor. Policy of your organization. The policy of your organization. This is an important part of my discussion today and an important part for you. The second pillar of success is having a good policy. You need, everybody in this room and everybody in the viewing audience, you need to familiarize yourself with your organizational policy. And you need to know it inside and out. Harassment is a high-risk area, ladies and gentlemen, and you need to know that policy. Your men and women need to know that policy, not just once, but regularly making sure people know the policy. You see those 5 pillars, folks? If we do those things up front, people, policy, training, supervision, and discipline, incidents will have a higher probability of going right, and when things go right, we can avoid the nasty consequences. I have a series of rules I call GRESH, G-R-E-S-H. Graham's Rules for the Elimination of Sex Harassment. It's a risk management approach, folks, and it's everything I have said in the lecture thus far. If you follow these 10 rules, incidents have a higher probability of going right, and you can avoid consequences. GRESH 1. GRESH 1, by the way, is Pillar 2. Get yourself a good policy. People say, give me the tools that I can go back to work and I can make a difference. GRESH 1. Get yourself a good policy that is agency-specific, properly derived, and regularly reviewed by your competent legal counsel to make sure it's up to date. Get yourself a good policy. That's the first rule. I believe the policy needs to contain the language zero tolerance. We don't tolerate any sexual behavior in the workplace. None, zip, nada. Get yourself a good, strong policy. GRESH 2. Make sure that when you're recruiting people or bringing people on board, make sure they understand that one of the most important things they're doing is getting along with people. It's critical. It is critical. We are a closely knit group of professionals, and we need to treat each other with dignity and respect. And if you start picking up hints while people are on probation, while people are new, if you start picking up hints in the interview process that they have difficulty getting along with people, maybe that person doesn't belong in this profession, and maybe you let them need to know that. GRESH 3, make sure you have the training to back it up. And what I suggest, folks, is the training needs to be regular and ongoing and verified. And I am asking for 5 minutes a quarter where you cover this as the high-risk policy that it is, and you make sure people know the rules, regularly reinforcing your organizational policy. Knowledge deteriorates over time. We need to regularly reinforce our good policy with ongoing training. I am not asking for an hour a day. I am not asking for an hour a month. I'm asking for 5 minutes a quarter, making sure your good people know the good rules up front. GRESH 4. Supervisors and managers have got to behave like supervisors and managers. They have got to enforce organizational policy. They have got to look for problems, and they have got to let people know that inappropriate behavior in the workplace is not going to be tolerated. And go back to what I said earlier about ratification. Supervisors and managers who are aware of inappropriate behavior and fail to enforce the policy have ratified the behavior, thus encouraging future inappropriate behavior. And when you're promoting people, When you're looking for people to promote, big hint, folks, look for people who are going to be good supervisors, and remember what the primary mission is: enforcement of organizational policy. GRESH 5, risk management. Remember the principles of risk management. Use the CATSINRO analysis on a regular basis. Look for problems up front. GRESH 6, dating in the workplace. Guess what? There's nothing illegal about dating in the workplace. Many of you have done it, and many of you have done it successfully. Let me give you a large hint. When a relationship goes bad, does it go bad big time? Yes, it does. It does. Dating of subordinates can cause grief. Use good judgment if you're going to participate in dating. Make sure that you are really thinking things out, and what can the consequences be if this doesn't go right. And by the way, if you really are thinking about dating somebody, just remember this one little last rule. There are currently some 6 billion people in the world. 6 billion. Of which, divided by 2, 3 billion you would find sexually attractive. Of which, divided by 2, 1.5 billion are of legal age. Fall in love with someone other than people that are working for you. Oh, but Gordy, she's 1 in a million. Not good enough, son. Is she 1 in 1.5 billion? Well, no, I can't say that. There's nothing illegal or immoral about dating co-workers and subordinates, folks, but it can cause problems. Please use good judgment. GRESH 7. When someone comes forward with a complaint, take it seriously. Ensure you have a protocol for the investigation of complaints, because if you don't take it seriously inside, they'll go outside in a heartbeat. And here's what I've learned, folks. Most victims of harassment don't want big old lawsuits. They don't want big old investigations. You know what they want? They want inappropriate behavior to stop. And if they don't think that you're going to take it seriously, they will go outside in a heartbeat, and that's Lawyerville, and you can't get away. If someone comes forward with a complaint, take it seriously and follow through. GRESH 8, forget the welcome versus unwelcome analysis. This is the defense I see all the time. I didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I thought it was welcome. That doesn't work. What we need to ask again, folks, would a reasonable person find it offensive? And if your answer is yes or I don't know, get it out of the workplace up front and take the appropriate discipline. GRESH 9, there's a link between the way we treat each other and the way we're going to treat our customers. Let me give you my 2 cents worth on this, folks. Government organizations, including ESOs, emergency service organizations, nationally, there's things going on. There are things going on with respect to government operations in general and emergency service operations in particular. I call it the Big 5. 5 things that are hitting us from all different sides. And I can't speak for your agent specifically, but nationally I see a trend. Increased public scrutiny? Yes or no? Decreased public confidence? Decreased public funding? Consolidation? Privatization? These are things that are facing public sector agencies around our country. And you know what our response has been? Our response in public safety, emergency service operations, has been 2 words: customer service. Customer service. And by the way, that's the right response. If we can maximize customer service, we can impact the Big 5. And a lot of organizations, including yours, are big on customer service, and you got speakers coming in from around the country who talk customer service, customer service, customer service, customer service, the importance of letting people know that we do this job excellent, excellent, that we are really good at it, and I'm all in favor of that. Don't spend 1 nickel in trying to enhance customer service until you get the inside squared away first. You can't fix the outside till the inside's running smooth. And if you really have a commitment to maximizing customer service, don't waste your money on that until the inside is running smooth first. You want proof? Bring it into my line of work, which I know very well. You show me a police department any place in this country that is plagued internally with racism, sexism, and homophobia. Are you going to see similar issues external in that same department? Yes or no? Name names. I'm not naming names. You know who they are. Bring it into your operations. You show me an ESO where management treats supervisors like dogs, supervisors treat workers like dogs, workers treat each other like dogs, How's the public going to get treated? Same way, folks. It's highly predictable. You want to maximize customer service? Let's maximize the internal treatment of our coworkers, our fellow volunteers. That is what we need to do. And Gresh 10, things that go wrong in life are highly predictable. If it's predictable, it's preventable. And what I'm begging you to do is do the job today. I mentioned to you a couple times that I've been teaching this class for a pretty good number of years. And in 1986, when I started teaching the class, I got a side benefit that I never realized was there. And I taught the class for about 6 months on harassment. And 6 months later, the phone rang at my law office. Gordon Graham. And it was a young lady on the phone. Hey, Mr. Graham, how's it going? Pretty W, what's up? Well, I was in your class you taught on harassment 6 months ago. Do you remember me? Oh, yes, yes. You were out in the audience, weren't you? Oh, yeah, I was. Out on the left side. Oh, no, no, sir. Right side. I meant my left. Anyhow. Wow. I'm the victim of harassment and I want to sue. Now, I never dreamed that anybody ever called me wanting to be a plaintiff's lawyer. So I wondered if it was ethical for me to represent somebody that I taught in a class. Is it ethical for me to now sue the governmental agency that hired me to teach the class? And it smelled bad, and I have this rule about ethics that if it smells bad, it probably is. But I checked with the state bar just in case. And I said, hey, can I sue a government agency that hired me to come in and teach a class? Can I represent one of the people who was in the class? And they picked themselves off the floor a couple minutes later laughing. And they said, of course not, you idiot. 10-4. And I said, well, can I refer the case to another lawyer? And that required them to look up their manuals. And they said, well, if you don't take a referral fee, you can send it to a different lawyer. I said, uh-huh. So I put together a rule way back in 1986. And I called it my 10-40-50 rule. 10-40-50. 10% of the claims made regarding sex harassment are bogus. Bogus. B-O-G-U-S, bogus. Generally made by an incompetent employee who is so stupid they don't even know they're stupid. What? How can you say that? Well, I generate tones down here, I bounce them off the inside of my mouth. Well, why do you say that? Because it's true. Some of the claims are bogus. And anybody who wants to argue with this, I'll take you on and I'll prove it to you. There are knowingly proven bogus claims. 10%, 40% are true, with a little teeny weeny question mark. Maybe through misperception, exaggeration, or misinformation, it's blown out of proportion. 50%, 10, 40, 50, 50% are absolutely 100% true, and in many cases don't even reflect how bad the problem is. And you say, well, why would you put together a silly rule like that? Well, when people call, I'd send them out to a lawyer. If it was a loser case, I would send it to a lawyer I don't like. If it was a winner, I would send it to a lawyer I do like. My brother. Not that I can accept a referral fee. No, 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 no. But if he chooses me as an act of brotherly love, to buy me a car on my birthday annually, hey, that's the way it goes. You know, it's just one of those things. And I put together this rule, and I was referring people out. And I don't do this anymore, by the way. But anyhow, I was doing this for a while. And I did this till 1989. And in 1989, my whole thinking process changed into this. I got a phone call from a young lady in 1989, a cop. And I heard this. Mr. Graham, I was in a class you taught. And I said, well, I can't sue for you. 2 reasons. Number 1, the bar says I can't do it. Also, I have a secondary employment request with my primary employer, and I'm a police officer also, and I can't sue for you. But I can refer you. If you have a good case, let me know. 10-4, 10-4, 10-4. Here's what she said to me, 1989. This is the worst case you've ever heard. And I said, well, that's an opinion. I'd like some facts. She goes, it's terrible, it's unbelievable. I said, that's an opinion. I like facts. Give me some facts. And she told me this in 1989. Mr. Graham, I'm the only woman working on this police department. Every day I come to work, the sergeant calls me a name. I said, okay, facts, what name? Well, he singles me out in briefing at the start of shift, and he says, okay, guys, who wants to work with the blank today? And the blank word will shock you. 4 letters, starts with C, the most filthy, derogatory term you could possibly use. Now, I've been around a little while. I've never heard anybody say that with witnesses around. That's something you hear people who are, dirty and nasty after the fact, behind somebody's back, but in briefing with witnesses, no. So I'm starting to categorize her as bogus. I said, well, anything else going on? She says, oh, it gets worse. The other day, this idiot lieutenant comes in the briefing. I said, please, don't be redundant. She said, well, this lieutenant came in the briefing, and he and the sergeant had a calendar with red circles on it, and they told all the guys it was my menstrual cycle, and they were placing bets on whether or not I'd wreck a car on those days. Oh, no. She goes, it gets worse. The other day I called for a backup. I had a guy with a gun, armed and dangerous. Sergeant got on the air and said, cancel the backup. If she can't handle it, she's in the wrong line of work. And these stories are so outrageous, unbelievable. I classified her as a 10% bogus. Hey, you got a major case, better call a good lawyer, see you around, bye. And I hung up on her essentially, because I don't have time to deal with nuts, and she's clearly a nut. Her story was so compelling, though, so compelling, so odd, that it got stuck in my head. All day long, her scenario was going by in my head. I got home that night, 11 o'clock at night, end of shift, and I said, no, this is one of these things, I got to check it out. So I called up a friend of mine who worked for that same police department. It's Mike. Hey, Mike, it's Gordy. Hey, Gordy, how's it going? Pre-W, what's up? Hey, you got a woman working on your police department. Oh, yeah, I know her. How's she doing? Oh, she's okay. You like her? Oh, she's okay. You hate her? Oh, she's okay. She competent? Oh, she's okay. She incompetent? Oh, she's okay. Well, how's she getting along? Oh, she's okay. Is this your ultimate neutral witness? He is. I said, well, how is she getting along? He says, oh, she's okay. I said, people treat her okay? Pretty much so, except for this one sergeant, Gordy. I said, what do you mean? He goes, Gordy, this guy is the biggest jerk you've ever met. Every day in briefing, he singles her out and he says, who wants to work with the blank today? Same word. I said, you're kidding me. He goes, the other day this lieutenant came in with his calendar. I said, you're kidding me. He goes, the other day this happened, this happened, this happened. And he's given me a listing of stuff that was just so outrageous. I hung up that phone and I said, whoa. I felt like a nickel waiting for change for two reasons. Number one, I think I'm a pretty good judge when people are lying to me. Am I dead wrong on this one? You bet I am. The second reason was monetary. Have I kissed off a case with some significant dollar value? So I jumped in the old Shystermobile and I went flying back up to my law office as fast as that car will go. Just as fast as that car will go. Midnight, I am in my law office going through my garbage can looking for what? Phone number. And I got it, and the next morning, 0700 hours, I am on the phone. Hello, hi, Gordon Graham here. Oh, Mr. Graham, how's it going? Pre-W. Hey, looky here, I've reevaluated the facts of your case, and I'd like to represent you. You haven't called that other lawyer yet, have you? Oh, no. She goes, well, what about that agreement you have with your police department? Screw them, I'll run the risk, you know. Why am I thinking this? I'll tell you why. There's another police department in California, Long Beach Police Department, that paid out $3 million on a harassment case that was nowhere near that severe. $3 million. What's a lawyer's fee on $3 million? Try a third. Cha-ching. $1 million bucks, what's that? That's $1 million bucks. To me, it's 5,000 square feet on the water, Lake Tahoe, with a boat dock. And I'm not talking one of them open ones. I'm talking garage door covers, 54 Chris Craft, the whole thing. Man, I got her phone number, and I said, I can represent you. I can. And she says, oh, well, we need to talk. And I said, well, let me tell you, a lot of these cases get down to a he said, she said. And sometimes there's no witnesses. You say there's witnesses. Do you think any of these guys in briefing will back you up on this language? And here's what she tells me. Most of them are my friends. They said they would testify and give depositions and sign affidavits. Does that help at all? Cha-ching! I said, you know, that menstrual cycle chart would be very powerful evidence. Would it? If you were on a jury and you saw that, would that inflame your passions? I said, do you think you can get me a copy of that? She says, a copy? Of course, I have the original. She says, as a matter of fact, if you want evidence, the dispatchers were so angry about the backup being canceled the other day, they made a copy of the radio tape for me, and I have that also. Cha-chinga! Now, I'm a night school grad. A lot of people don't know this, but I guess you all do now. Night school grad, out of 80 people, I graduated number 68, 2.01 GPA. It would have been higher if I would have went to class, but I was busy, okay? Do you think I can win this case? Let's say I'm up against the #1 lawyer from Yale, Harvard, and Oxford. Can I win this case? Sure. You walk in, night school grad and all, new suit. You throw down a radio tape, 2 depositions, and a menstrual cycle chart, and you use fancy legal language. Send money. Large, copious quantities. I will let you know when to stop. This is a no-brainer. And I told her that. I said, you got a major case. Long Beach just settled out for $3 million on one that was nowhere near this severe. The second this behavior happens today, you give me a page. I will pick you up. I will take you to one of my doctors. You are going to be a very wealthy woman. And she hit me with something in 1989 that changed my entire approach around on the way I hit this teach this class. Mr. Graham, you've misunderstood me. I don't want to sue. I want it to stop. I said, no, 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 that's not what you want. You want litigation. Litigation is good. And she came back, very mature young lady. She says, no, Mr. Graham, you don't understand. If I sue, the city's going to dig into my past and dig up dirt from 15 years ago, which is none of their business. True or false? I said, well, yeah. She goes, if I sue, I have to relive all this junk for the next 5 years. That's true. She says, and if I sue, people who are currently my friends ain't going to be my friends anymore. I said, well, who cares? You're going to have $2 million. She says, well, I thought you said 3. I said, well, there's a little third there that comes off the tongue. And she was adamant against suing. And I'm trying to be persuasive. If not for you, for all the other women in law enforcement, we've got to send a message. She says, I don't want to sue. Can you help me or not? And I'm watching my house slide into the water, you know. And I said, okay, if you really want it to stop, skip the chain of command, go see the chief of police in your department. You tell him what's going on, and I guarantee it'll stop today. And she hit me with something in 1989 that completely changed the way I teach the class. She goes, Mr. Graham, you're wrong. I saw the chief last week, and he told me if I can't take it, I'm in the wrong line of work. What's just happened to her $3 million case? 6. Forget Lake Tahoe, it's a dump, okay? I'm talking Laguna Beach on the water, 7,000 square feet with a 7-car garage, you know? She's got a major case. And I'm trying to convince her of this, and she's adamant, and she says, can you help me or not? And I went to law school with a young lady who was on the city council of that particular city. And I said, let me make a couple calls, I might be able to help you out. And I got a hold of my friend from law school. Hello, hi, Gordon Graham. Hey, Gordy, how's it going? Pretty W, pretty W, pretty W. Hey, did you ever graduate? Yeah, I did. 68. You know, there's 12 people below me. And she says, what are you calling for? I said, hey, you got a lady working on your police department. Yes, and she's doing a fine job. I said, how do you know that? How do you know what's going on really? Gordy, do you know something I don't know? I said, supposing I told you that every day a supervisor on that department singled her out in briefing and called her this name. You have got to be kidding. I said, nope. I said, it gets better. Supposing that a supervisor and a manager were proven to have a menstrual cycle chart, and by the way, I can fax you a copy of this if you'd like it. She goes, you've got to be kidding me. I said, oh, it gets better. Supposing a complaint was made to the Supreme Allied Commander and the response was, if you can't take it, you're in the wrong line of work. She goes, Gordy, you're joking. I said, I'm not. Gordy, does she have a lawyer? Is a city council person aware of the fiscal impact that a $6 million case would have on a city? Yeah. Cops would be driving Hyundais. Firefighters would be walking. You know, what? You know, it'd be a big problem, folks. A big problem. I said, she's got a lawyer, it's me. Oh, Gordy, I've always respected your great legal intellect. Enough of that. She doesn't want to sue. She wants it to stop. Here's her name. Here's her phone number. Can you give her a call? And she did. How long before the misconduct stopped? Instant, folks. Instant. It was over and done with. And you're saying, well, Gordon, that's what it takes to wake people up, is money. Money is the only thing that counts in our society. And you know, I believed that up till 1989. And then a wonderful thing happened. My daughter, who's 10 now, back in '89 was a big 3 years old. At age 3, I already started picking up the objective signs that she was going to be a state trooper. You could tell it right away at age 3, the way she was wheeling around in her little wagon and everything. She'll be graduating the State Trooper Academy in 2011. She'll be #1 in her class, top shot, top driver. It's a genetic thing. And 10, 15 years from now when she graduates, whenever it is, she calls me up. She says, Dad, how's it going? Hey, Spud, what's up? Dad, I hate this job. What are you talking about? They didn't give you one of them upside-down bathtubs they call a Caprice, did they? Oh, no, I got a Mustang. Oh, good. Why do you hate it? Dad, every day I come to work, my sergeant calls me this. The other day, the lieutenant came in and they had this chart and they were joking about me wrecking a patrol car on my menstrual cycle. The other day I was at 103rd and Grape and I ran a plate and it came back armed and dangerous and there was 2 bad guys in the car and I called for a backup and my sergeant got on the air and said, cancel the backup. If she can't handle it, she's in the wrong line of work. Some of you have known me for a long time. Some of you know me from this videotape only. Do I look all that tightly wrapped to you? Take a good look. Do I look all that tightly wrapped? You want to know what I do? It wouldn't be filing a lawsuit. It wouldn't be writing a letter. It wouldn't be making a nasty phone call. You know what I do? If you have any doubt as to what I do, you take a look in the mirror, and if somebody was screwing with one of your loved ones in that way, what would you do? I know exactly what you'd do. I know exactly what you would do. You would take the prompt, effective, remedial action, and it might be violent. I'll give you a big hint, folks. This harassment stuff, and I try to make people understand it, and I try to be humorous, but let me tell you, this is a serious topic. This is a big deal, not because Gordon Graham says so, not because the Fire Academy says so, not because the government says so. Harassment is legally and morally wrong, and when someone goes out of their way with the comments, actions, and things that are either designed or that in fact impact people negatively, that is a big deal, and you are impacting more than one person's life. When somebody's not happy at work, when somebody's being harassed, does that impact the whole family? You bet it does, folks. And most importantly, it hurts. It hurts people big time, and it hurts the organization. Our goal is to create a sound professional work environment. By doing that, we are able to maximize our external delivery of services, which is what we're all about. And I don't care if you're a volunteer or full-time or part-time or a paramedic or a firefighter or a cop, it is going out there, encountering incidents and getting them done right and maximizing the quality of service that we're able to provide. Guess what? That's our mission. You can't do it unless the inside is running smooth first, folks. And if you have a workplace that is filled with inappropriate sexual behaviors, you're never going to achieve your ultimate mission. So I am telling you to go back and make the difference. How? People, getting and keeping good people, policy, getting a good policy and making sure it's up to date, training, making sure your good people know the rules, supervision, supervisors enforcing the rules, and when there's a deviation from the rules, addressing it with prompt, fair, and impartial discipline, sending the message that we are not going to tolerate inappropriate behaviors in the workplace. And guess what? If we make this a commitment, if we take this as serious as we do our external delivery of services, going out there and treating people and fighting fires, we can eliminate this issue from the workplace, folks, and everybody will benefit. Everybody will benefit. Anyhow, that's my pitch. I really welcome the opportunity to be here. Good luck, good health, goodbye. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming. Good day to you all. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you.